Okay, let's dive into something pretty fascinating. There's this whole generation of people, those who grew up in the 1970s, who have a way of thinking, a mindset that's just, well, it's becoming almost alien in our world today. It was shaped in a time that was a lot quieter, a lot less structured, and it created a kind of raw, unfiltered reality that really left a mark on them. And that brings us to this statement, which, look, it sounds a little extreme, I get it, but it really hits the nail on the head when you think about the massive difference between then and now. So, what was it about that kind of childhood that cooked up such a unique psychology? It all kicks off right here. We're talking about a level of freedom, of sheer independence that is just, it's almost impossible to imagine today. This wasn't just about, playing outside. It was about learning to get by in the world pretty much on your own terms. What's so amazing about this is just how simple it was. These were basically the only rules. I mean, if you were gone for 5 or 6 hours, nobody was calling the police. There were no phones, no GPS trackers. It was just you, your bike, and a vague understanding that you should probably be home for dinner. And all that time, you were just constantly solving little problems on your own. And that built something really powerful. And this is exactly what it built, a kind of deep, gut-level self-reliance. It's that quiet voice in the back of your head that, even when you're facing something brand new, just says, I'll figure it out. Now, that's not arrogance, not at all. It's a confidence that comes from 1,000 tiny moments where you had no choice but to depend on yourself. But here's the thing, it wasn't just their own experience. This mindset was handed down to them. They were raised by a generation that had lived through the Great Depression and World War II, and those parents, they didn't really sit around talking about hardship, they just embodied survival. And their kids, they just soaked that up. They learned that when something breaks, you fix it, and that the person who's coming to save you, well, that person was probably you. All right, now we're gonna do a hard pivot. Let's just jump forward in time. Because to really get that 70s mindset, you have to see what it's up against today. We're going from a world of information scarcity to the world of the post-2000s generation, a world that's defined by a constant, relentless digital hum. It starts with this, the notifications, right? That never-ending waterfall of pings and alerts, every single one of them yanking your attention in a million different directions. It's like a constant digital tap on the shoulder. And then come the messages, this endless river of communication that kind of demands an instant reply. It creates this persistent low-level anxiety, this feeling that you're always on, always available. And of course, the infinite scroll. Timelines literally designed to feed you more information in a single day than someone in the 70s might have encountered in an entire week. The brain just never, ever gets a break. And this chart, wow, it really shows the cost of all that. I mean, while younger generations are incredibly smart and creative, this constant digital storm can lead to just feeling mentally drained and emotionally exhausted. Social media connects us, sure, but it also brings this constant subconscious pressure to compare and perform. So here's the critical part. You've got these two totally different environments. And surprise, surprise, they created two fundamentally different psychological operating systems. Let's put them right next to each other and see what that looks like. The 70s mindset was all about repairing and adapting. You may do with what you had. Today, it's often just easier to replace something. And when problems feel way too big, it's easy to just get overwhelmed by it all. Responsibility back then was sort of an internal, quiet thing. You saw your parents carry their burdens without broadcasting it, and you just learned to do the same. Today, a lot of pressure is external and very visible. That constant need to perform and project this image of success online. And this might just be the biggest shift of all. Growing up when information was scarce forced you to be resourceful. It trained your attention span. But growing up with information overload, well, that basically rewires your brain to scan things quickly, which can make deep, focused work a real struggle. So all of this puts the 70s generation in this incredibly unique spot in history. They're not just some relic of the past. They're actually a living bridge between two completely different ways of being human. Think about it. They actually remember what silence felt like. They remember life before the constant buzz of the digital world. And that gives them a perspective that no generation before or after them can ever really have. They saw the before, and now they're living deep in the after. And in the end, this quote really gets to the heart of their psychology, their resilience, their I'll figure it out attitude. It wasn't something they learned in a class or read in a book. It was forged. It was tested in the messy, unsupervised, and often challenging reality of just being a kid. So, we'll leave you with this question. And it's not about which one was better, but which one was actually harder. Was it the physical and social challenges of a raw analog world? Or is it the mental and emotional marathon of living in a hyper-connected digital one? It's a really interesting thing to think about.